What's going on today, guys? We are back again with another United E-Racing multi-class race. So it's round 2. We're going to be racing at COTA here. We're pretty early. We're having a 6 a.m. start time for our qualifying, and that means that the track is really cold and it's going to be tough to get some temperature in the tires. So started out with a pretty decent first lap here, was really nailing my apexes, getting my speed down good. That is until we came up to this blind corner here, which I know a lot of people collectively agree is one of the worst corners in GT racing. Just no way to see it. So going on to the second lap, pushing hard because we had limited time, had a couple slips and slides, but recovered them well, held it together, and still kept putting down a strong lap here. Ended up finishing the lap really strong, nailed these last 2 turns going, and just really had a good entry and exit on both of these here. Pull out and we go down to set a 2:19.5, which is pretty much as fast as I've been setting in practice, so I was pretty happy with that. But I knew people were going to be setting some faster times, so I definitely wanted to push a little bit more. Coming on to our final qualifying lap, down the back straight here, we were up by about half a second. Really started getting a good feel of sector 1 there, and then again through sector 3 a bit here. Started really getting a good feel on how the car would respond and hold through the turns. Really started nailing my braking point through this weird left-hander, but unfortunately still lost a bit of time, just didn't have the right line through it. Coming through the back here, really nailed that second last turn. I think I took it to the absolute limit of track limits there. I'm surprised I didn't invalidate. Messed up a little bit coming out of the final turn here, but going down the final straight, we end up finishing with a 2:19.0, which is a lot faster than I was setting at any other point. Before we jump into the race here, I just want to say I am really thankful that this game has no collision through the race lineups, because I've never seen race starts as chaotic as what happens here, and pretty much every single race, whether I'm playing with leagues or open lobbies, it's always like this. If there was collision, it would not go well, so that was definitely a smart move by the developers of the game. Race start, let's go. Didn't have a great launch off the line, but I knew turn 1, with the pile-up of cars that generally happens there, would give me a good chance to catch back up, especially around the outside. People tend to take this one tight, but if you scoop around the outside, you generally get the advantageous position on the inside. Little bump, but continue racing, just staying alive, trying to stay as clean as possible. We're going to try to just really hold our place to J Cougs here. Got this GT3 that must have messed up in qualifying coming behind, so we've got a few of them catching up, and definitely going to make this opening lap a little bit more chaotic. Just trying to be predictable, let them try to get around, but we don't want to give up time, because again, it's their job to find a clean way around without messing up our race. Here he ends up getting a really good spot to go and turn in right into the hairpin. He ended up pulling a great move. I didn't really lose any time. Was able to slip around and get a decent exit. As you'll see through the rest of this race, this is definitely a turn where I struggle a little bit more than others. Yes. So some of these other GT3s were a little bit bold, you could see, just making some of the GT4s a little bit nervous, but at the same time can't fault them too much. This is a really tough track to find a clean way to pass around. A lot of the turns you kind of have to take on the limit, otherwise you're not lining up properly for the next turn. So see, like in here, just kind of riding on the inside of J Cougs, I almost come in to hit him, get a little bump on the rear, but everyone's still alive, so that's all that matters. Keeping it as clean as we can. Coming down these last few turns. Again, it's cold, but now that it's 7 a.m., I'm starting to feel like the tires are starting to catch temperature and get up to the right PSI a bit quicker. So these next few laps just kind of followed JJ Cougs here. We stayed in that 1 second zone. He would make little mistake here and there, went over the bumps. I followed him through these curves, figuring out that I had a lot better pace through here. Tried to catch up, but just wasn't quite enough in the first few laps here. Ended up making my own mistake and right there and losing some time. So pushed a little too hard into the second last turn here. Coming up to sector 1 on the next lap, I noticed I really got into him well on these turns. Had a great line pulling through them, but got a little ambitious on my exit. Couldn't quite keep my momentum caught up to him, and coming up here, I think I pushed just a little too hard on the brakes. Didn't get as good as I could have through that little. So this kind of becomes status quo for the next few laps here. I've noticed that I'm staying within that 1 second range to half second range to him. I have a lot better pace through these first sectors, I'm noticing, just twisting back and forth. They seem to figure out my line, but like I said earlier, every time we get into this hairpin, I just couldn't get a good enough exit and he would start pulling away from me. And same thing in sector 3 here. He makes a small mistake. I know that my pace has generally been better the first few laps through these turns here. So I get right up onto him. So we have that good run through the long U there, get a great run out of turn 19. Finally have a sniff at JJ Cougs, but unfortunately a GT3 caught up, so didn't leave me any room to try to get in. Both our lines kind of got messed up, so neither of us really lost out. Tried to just really hold on, come down to this first hairpin. He slides a little bit. I end up having to back out, just no way for me to quickly work around him, but I just know that this is the lap where I have my best chance. So I stay hunted right on him. I know I have a good run through these turns. And then get ambitious and make my mistakes. So end up losing the momentum, just trying to push too hard. So following JJ down the back straight, I nail my braking point. Notice that he brakes a bit early. So I plan to just use my strong pace through this sector, try to stay as close to him as possible, and see if I can make something happen either into the main straight or following it. So coming up to turn 19, I nail my turn through it, stay pretty tight to him, and I will admit this was a pretty ambitious braking zone. I appreciate him giving the space, but even with that, I just couldn't really make it stick. So he ends up having the power and getting it back around me. I am hoping he'll defend the inside so I can dive outside, which I do here, trying to get that advantageous line into the next turn, but he just pulls way through. I may have gone too wide, so had a little bit of a slip there then that made me lose a bit of momentum, so I decided let's just go hunt him down. Coming down the back straight again, he brakes a bit early, what seems like, and I nailed my braking point. Following him through sector 3 here, going around these turns, I'm noticing that he's starting to figure out his pace for a bit. He's definitely improving, getting a bit faster there, so I want to take my shot while I can. I'm coming around turn 19. I'm starting to get pretty comfortable with how to turn in there. We're much closer than last lap, so I go for the same move on the inside. He gives just enough space, and we finally made that move stick. But as soon as I did, coming through sector 1 here, what had become a really strong sector for me, started making little mistakes. Me and JJ pretty much just switched positions from where I was chasing him and his mistakes. Now I was making the mistakes and he was chasing them down. Missed my braking point after nailing it like 3 times in a row, so giving him that opportunity, but again really just trying to hold a strong pace where I know I have it and try to calm down. But once again, just the nervousness of being chased, I guess, makes me go a little bit wide, make a couple small errors, and can't quite pull away from him the way I want. Sector 1, that was so strong for me, just really started making mistakes, pushing too hard, not getting the right line into it. I started to notice me and JJ are definitely both better at being chasers than the one being chased. So JJ just continued to stay on my ass. We were starting to notice more rubber being laid down. I was starting to get the feel for it again, not making as many mistakes, but he was also starting to do the same. Again, these hairpins I just really seemed to not get great exits out of, and he always got a really good exit. So coming down here, he finally had a little sniff to try and take the position back, but I absolutely nailed my braking point and held him off without really having to try to defend too much. So I make another small mistake into the final turn here, which gives JJ a bit of a chance to come and catch up. He ends up sniffing my inside down the front. Again, I just plan on every time this turn hold the outside line, because as long as you do that, you've got the inside line coming in. So I want to take an opportunity here to showcase a few of the GT3 cars that did really good jobs at passing. So in my rear view mirror there, you can see when he passed JJ and then coming around me, like everything about that move that the Plums made was perfect. Made sure that none of us lost any time. Then another one here, which even with this being a really tough spot, we kind of opened it up a bit. But coming around here, he did the right move and was able to get cleanly around me, kept it predictable. He did not interfere with my race at all, so big shout out to the Plums and Legendary Louis for just doing amazing passes in a higher class car. So coming out of turn 1, we pick up our first drive-through penalty. And then here's another person who does a great job passing. So he got around JJ at a really good spot. He didn't have to sacrifice much, and then waited for this clear spot to get around me. So again, another great GT3 driver, Taurus. So here we pick up our second drive-through penalty. I guess just didn't straighten out soon enough. Seems a little weird. I feel like my tires were at least on the inside line, but oh well. Keeping our heads down, keep driving. I make a big mistake going into this turn here, letting JJ catch up, but he also hits the bumpers a little bit, so I think it made him lose a bit of momentum, letting me at least recover and get back to a defensible position. Make a little mistake, hit the curb and slide. JJ gets a great run down main straight, gets another sniff on the inside, goes a little too deep, and I get around him, pull one of the best switchbacks I've ever done, and get just far enough ahead to reclaim the racing line. And switchback. I'd say this was our one questionable incident with the GT3 car this race. I mean, I understand they're racing too, but kind of got a little nervous with being pinched off GT3 in between both me and JJ. JJ ends up going a bit deep here, overdrives it, and then makes another mistake in the following couple turns. After seeing that, I notice, I see JJ pull into the pits, and I decide I'm going to go and try to get a couple good in-laps while I have some open track and nobody on my ass. One thing I've got to learn, though, is not to use my MFD while I'm racing. Because even just pulling the menu up, not even trying to use it, but having it there is so distracting that I make a couple mistakes. So, being a second down, I decide I have enough fuel for a couple more laps, and tires don't feel too bad, so try to do one more, get a better in-lap. Next lap, we're coming into the pits here, hit my pit limiter early just to make sure that I'm not getting any penalties. Now this was quite the agonizing pit exit. Feels like it takes forever to go down. Could just see JJ coming up and knew there was nothing I could do. Come out on the exit here, see that we end up being about 5.5 seconds behind, and yeah, realize that I may have messed up my in-lap a little bit more than I thought. But then going through these curvy sectors, a few laps later, I start noticing gain a few, like half a tenth going through sector 3 here. Just really holding the curves, didn't really notice it too much yet. And then coming through sector 1, again, just really starting to get a good feel with fresh tires and lots of grip on the track. I'm pushing hard. See that the time has dropped by over 1.5 seconds in just a lap and a half. So I'm thinking, oh, maybe there is a chance we can actually get in here. And I start to realize that 5 seconds is from JJ not taking tires. So with tire advantage, I start really pushing, just trying to hold my pace as strong as I can, really taking advantage, and end up pushing a little too hard, getting my 3rd track limits penalty. So at this point, I'm wanting to be really careful, focus on driving clean, staying in the lines, but wanting to really race and get this position back, because this would be my first podium ever. So again, coming through these the final sector here, I see how much stronger our pace is. He's must really be burning out on his tires, starting to get really slick. Sector 1 again, we get back within that 1 second zone, and we're right where we were starting, so I'm going for the chase. We get a few good exits, and for the first time I actually get a better drive through this hairpin, nail my turn in, get a good pull on the exit, and stay right locked in with him at the same time. So I'm like, okay, here's my chance this lap or the next one. Let's get him into the final turn, just get really tight on him. I see the mistake that was made there, so I'm really tight now. At this point, I'm like, okay, last turn into the main straight, I want to be close to him so that I can take him into there, go down the main straight, take turn 1. Another little lesson, I've got to learn braking points of when people are on weak tires, because this instant is 100% my fault. You can see here we're coming down into this weird sector. I think it's turn 15, 16, but he brakes about 2 to 3 car lengths earlier than I was at this point, because with the rubber on the track, I was braking just after the white curve there, right? I wasn't really paying attention to that. I kind of did a little lift just because I knew I was following someone, but didn't brake enough and had a little bump. Tried stopping here to give him the position back. Unfortunately, it did not go well for him, and he just spun out. So I felt really bad about that one. Huge mistake on my part, because again, I just wanted to get the turn, pass him pretty much into this turn right here, because I knew I was strong, clean, going through it, and it was the best way to do it, but unfortunately, it doesn't always happen. So I figure we got a boring finish to the rest of our race. We've got 15 seconds to the person behind, not catching up to anyone in front, but we've got a solid podium under our belt, so I'm not disappointed at all. That is until a few laps later, just before the finish, pick up a damn drive-through penalty. I feel like this one is a little unfair, especially considering that previous lap we had pretty much the exact same thing happen here. But I keep my head down. Notice that we have 5 minutes left. My team explained to me that if you have a penalty that you think is a little unfair, you can take it to the end, take a time penalty, and try appealing to our stewards. So again, with that 5-minute gap, I realized it takes us about 2 minutes 20 per lap to go to the finish, so we should have more than enough time. So I go through, finish, 1 lap, next lap, coming on to the end here, feel like we got it just into the bag. All we've got is 1 lap left to go, and we have timed this up perfectly. Oh what? God, really? Fucking damn it! Disqualified? I thought, fuck. Well, In hindsight, I realize I should have maybe looked a little bit more at the drive-through penalty marker I had, but being in the middle of the race, I was trying to focus on driving. And I did not realize that because I was about 20 or 50 meters before the finish line, when I picked up the drive-through penalty, that it counted that short distance as one lap. So coming into here, I figured I did one lap, two lap, had one more lap to go, and then I could just take the time penalty, but it doesn't always go your way. Sometimes that's how it goes in the end, but we learned something, couple things this race, and we'll just keep on improving from this point on. So thank you all for coming along. I hope you enjoyed this race. If you have any comments or tips on how to improve, as always, please leave them down below. Let's all keep going on this journey of improvement, and I'll see you guys next time.